ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್. ಹಲೋ, ಮೈಕ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಹಲೋ ಹಲೋ, ಮೈಕ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಹಲೋ, ಮೈಕ್ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ಟು ರೋ ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಹಲೋ ಹಲೋ, ನೋಡಿ ಇವಾಗ ಹತ್ರ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ನೀವು, ಹತ್ರ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮೈಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನೋಡಿ ಇವಾಗ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೀನಿ. ಇಕ್ಕೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಕಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಹಾಂ, ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗ. ಹ್ಞೂ, ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾನಾ?
I now invite our distinguished Toastmaster, Mr. Forse Gotuako. I hope I pronounced it correct. Nailed it. Dr. Jason D. Urkol, our Professor, Dean Academics and Student Affairs, IIHMR Bangalore. Dr. Wing Commander Naga Subramaniam Sir, Co-founder and Honorary Director, Monisha Service Foundation. Dr. Sarla R., Professor, Dean Publications.
And just help you out with the caption.
प्रणम्य शिरसा देवं गौरीपुत्रं विनायकं भक्तावासं स्मरे नित्यम् आयुर्कामार्थसिद्धये प्रथमं वक्रतुण्डं च एकदन्तं द्वितीयकं तृतीयं कृष्णपिङ्गाक्षं गजवक्त्रं चतुर्थकम् आयुर्कामार्थसिद्धये लम्बोदरं पञ्चमं च षष्ठं विकटमेव च सप्तमं विघ्नराजं च धूम्रवर्णं तथाष्टमम् आयुर्कामार्थसिद्धये नवमं बालचन्द्रं च दशमं तु विनायकम् एकादशं गणपतिं द्वादशं तु गजाननम्
Officially welcome you all. I invite Dr. Jason D. Urkol, Professor, Dean Academics and Student Affairs, to deliver the welcome address.
Very good evening to everyone. So, on behalf of the director of IIHMR Bangalore, Dr. Usha Manjunath, and my own behalf, and on behalf of all our faculty and staff and students, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Toastmasters International, especially represented by a host of dignitaries and the speaker for the day, Mr. Forse Gotuako, who is an executive speech coach with over 30 plus years of coaching, as well as being a TEDx speaker and coach. He's a 6-time district champion, winning in districts 25, 85, and in 128 in evaluation, table topics, and international speech contest events. In 2020, he won the district's 25th Toastmaster of the Year. He has reached the finals of the World Championship of Public Speaking in 2022 and 2024. So it's a great pleasure in welcoming Mr. Farse to IIHMR to provide an orientation to our students about public speaking, which our students need most these days because they need to be overt and be able to share their experiences using stories, using various examples and scenarios so as to keep the audience attracted to their speech. So with this, I'd like to request Ms. Dr. Isha to help us to give a brief memento to our guest for the day.
I request Dr. Jason D. Urkol to hand over the bouquet to Mr. Forse. I also request Dr. Sarla to give a bouquet to Dr. Wing Commander Naga Subramanian Sir.
Yes. Good. I have a lot of families.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. For audience here and for the dignitaries, we have live stream happening as well, where our students from IIHMR Bangalore will be joining through Zoom. So that was just a reminder. Moving forward, now to introduce our guests.
Or you want to continue from 5 minutes before. Yeah, we'll indicate to you afterwards. Yes.
All right. Yeah, just a minute. I'll just give an introduction as to introduce our guest for the day. I call upon Dr. A. Nagasubramaniam, sir. We all know, but I will just give a small intro about who Sir is. Sir is our very own. He's doing his PhD with IIHMR Bangalore. So he's a healthcare leader, teacher, mentor, and co-founder and honorary director of Onisha Service Foundation. Put your hands together for Dr. A. Nagasubramaniam, sir, Wing Commander of the Bangalore.
Good afternoon to the faculty of IIHMR, students, and my dear guests, Toastmasters, and everyone. To know about Percy, I'm not going to talk about, you can see that when you Google and you can see what he has been doing all his life. But what I will share with you is, today I met him, it happened that when COVID came with a lot of challenges, isn't it? It also gave us an opportunity to become a globally connected citizens. So during that time, I was the president of IMB Orators Club. When I became the president, all the 6 months when I was the president, I was an online president. Never had an opportunity to physically address people. So that time we thought to keep the audience glued to the meetings, we thought that the committee, we thought that we will engage, we'll try to connect with international speakers and have this session, education sessions. In that journey, I met DTM Percy online, and he gave a topic on roaring to glory. That was the topic. He spoke on that. And we all connected, the audience online connected to his topic. It was a very nice topic. Very nicely we all connected. Subsequently, what happened was, he, under his leadership, he created a WhatsApp group. We made the best utilization of the online systems. So all over the globe, there are almost 1,000, because I think 1,200 is the maximum capacity of WhatsApp. 1,200 members all across the globe have become members of this impromptu speakers group. So every day, a topic is given, and anybody can speak on it via audio or video, record it and post it in that group, and someone will evaluate this. So this has been happening last 4 years, 3 year plus years. And I initially was very active in that. Now on and off, I listen to that, but I don't give my evaluation or I don't speak. But recently when I saw that he's going to come, I gave my one speech, and he immediately evaluated it. To get evaluated and get input from global speakers, it's really an experience by itself, and it gives us a focus how to be precise in what we speak. So that is how we know about him. And when I met him today, he has been so simple and so nice, so friendly. I didn't feel that we had first time meeting physically in a physical space. So that is how he's all about. And I requested him to visit my NGO, and he readily agreed. And you won't believe, we had around 35 kids attending we are there in the thing. Within no time, he just engaged every kid, all 35 kids, and plus the faculty. They just, we lost the time, I did not realize that time is going on. So that's why suddenly we saw, my wife came and told me, you told you have to be there at 3 o'clock and it is 2:45. So sorry for that. I had to rush. We had to literally rush from there. And it is my mistake that so Toastmaster Karthik said it is written 3 o'clock and you are not there, because Toastmaster is very particular about timings and all. I told that is not for, this is a common meeting where both Toastmasters and non-Toastmasters are there. We just put 3 o'clock means that is for non-Toastmasters time, because we always have a Indian stretchable time. but not in Toastmasters. So if it is delayed, it is for my reason. I delayed him. Otherwise, he would have been in time as a Toastmaster. So with this, if you want to know more about him, just Google his name and you will get pages and pages about him, his achievements. And you should see his YouTube videos where he has had a lot of teaching videos, how to do public speaking, what is about body language, gestures, voice modulation. He's an expert in voice modulation. And by profession, he is a theater artist, a teacher, theater artist and teacher. All these years, he has been more than 30 years, he has been teaching people across the globe. Currently, he stays in Bangkok, but otherwise he is a US citizen and all his family members are spread across the globe. Thank you, DTM Fuzzy, for making this today with us, to be with us. And I thank each one of you for taking your time to be here to listen to this one of his session for this. Thank you so much. Happy listening. Be relaxed and listen to this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm sure I speak for all of us that we are genuinely excited for the session, sir. For that, I now invite Mr. Fuzzy Gotuako to lead us through the session, and I hope we have a wonderful session ahead. Yeah.
Sure. And the clicker, is that another gadget? Great. Is you. Testing, check. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes. Oh, man. It's not going. Mic is not going. Volume is not pushing. Check. Yeah, it'll be all right. There we go. Check, 1, 2. Okay. Testing. That's the clicker. Thank you. Great. You got to be ready for anything. There I was on the stage, on the world stage. I'm doing my speech for the championship, and all of a sudden, my microphone falls off. What are you going to do? You've got to keep going. You have to keep going. Don't let anything stop you. Let nothing stop you, including a stage. Data tells, stories sell. Data tells, stories sell. If you want to be memorable, you have to be able to tell a story. If you've ever been on the other side of the table when hiring is happening, when you're hiring people, you're listening to what, 10, 20 people for 10 questions each? Just how much do you think they're going to remember about? So you have to be memorable, because while they're asking you questions, they're also thinking about their kids, bringing their kids to this place or that place, going to the dentist. What do I have to pick up at the store? Oh my gosh, I have to cook this for dinner. What was your name again? You're right. And so you have to be memorable. They might forget your name, but they're not going to forget you if you tell the right story. So to tell the right story, you have to have the right secret. This is the secret to storytelling. Oh my gosh, Dr. Naga, did you put that slide in there? Dr. Naga, come on, this is formal. This is a school. Oh my, golly. Does anybody know this picture? Yeah. What's going on in this picture? Oh my gosh, he's flipping them off. Probably his own father. What? He's being pretty naughty, isn't he?
We can't see the other side of the picture.
Do what?
We can't see the other side of the
Absolutely. The secret to good storytelling is understanding where the pivot point is. And if you pivot to the other side, what do we see, sir? If we pivot to the other side, this is what we see. The secret to good storytelling is understanding that if you only tell a story from one side, we only get part of the story. We don't get the most important part. We get the shocker, but we don't get the most important part. When we're telling a story, we tend to look at it as a storyteller. So this is your story, this is your script, right? Everybody's fingerprints are individual to themselves. And your story is individual to who you are. And you're attached to your story because it was part of how you grew up. And you know what? And you want to make sure that everybody gets all the details of your story. And so there's your story right there. And you know this is your story. And so you stand in front of your audience and you tell your story. The problem is, while you're standing here telling your story, your audience is over here. And they see something completely different. You're looking at your fingerprints, and you know your fingerprints because they are uniquely yours, and you're proud of those marks. But while you're looking at your fingerprints telling your story, you have to realize that the audience is looking at your fingernails and they're looking at your knuckles. They see something completely different. I know some of you are going, how does he do that with his hand? How's he moving around but his hands stay still? What kind of magic is that? So that's the idea, is understanding the pivot point. You have to see it from your audience's point of view. We have to see it from out here. We have to know what the story looks like from out here. What does it look like from here? What does it look like from back here? You remember 10 minutes ago when you first met me, I walked all the way back here, didn't I? I walked all the way here. Oh, there's an exit. Oh, there's here. Oh, there. You have to know what everything looks like from the audience point of view. And then you have to let the audience in. You've got to invite the audience into your story. Otherwise, they will always feel like they're on the other side. And if they're on the other side, then they only get half the story. So we talk about the pivot point. In storytelling, there are some basics, and you probably all know this from childhood. Yes? Plot, character, conflict. Easy. Plot, character, conflict. You know this. You didn't need to bring Percy in here to do that. Simply add one more. The pivot point. Plot, character, conflict, pivot point. Yes? In plot, you have status quo. Okay, who's good at Latin? I know many of you are in the medical field, lots of Latin in the medical field. What is status quo? Naga.
Status quo is like this is status quo. Maintaining.
Maintaining, absolutely. Present state, yes? Status quo is present state. So if I'm going to tell a story, and this is the beginning, actually I should start over here. Because you read left to right, yes? So you start here, this is status quo. I want to start here, I want to go there. That is status quo. Inciting incident, something stops me. I'm on my way to do what I want to do, something gets in the way. The car breaks down, inciting incident. I meet somebody, inciting incident. Somebody tells me something that totally wrecks my world or changes my world. Somebody brings me to a Toastmaster meeting, inciting incident. And then you have climax, and then you have resolution. Basic storytelling, yes? Basic storytelling. We all kind of understand that, but I just wanted to point out that this is the path. Character. Who's the character in the story? Who are the characters in the story? Even if it's you and we know who you are, we still need to know who you are within this story. Because if I told you a story about myself as this old compared to this old, those would be two different people. Who you are to your parents is probably different from who you are to your friends on Saturday night. Yes. Okay, so who are you in this story? Who are you in the story? What do you want? This comes from my theater background. We want to find out, what do you want? What is your motivation? What is my motivation for coming down off the stage? Well, I want to make it more personal. What is my motivation in the classroom? Well, I want to make sure she's not doing something she's not supposed to be doing. Right? What is my motivation for walking all the way back here to his laptop? Well, I want to make sure he's not surfing the net. Right? So there's different motivations. Yes. What is your motivation? And then what is getting in the way? What is getting in the way? We talked about this a second ago. This way, cameraman. This is status quo. It's okay. He knows where I am. This is status quo. This is what I want. And then what's getting in the way? What's getting in the way? That's inciting incident. This also leads us to conflict. 4 kinds of conflict. I'm going very fast because you know this, right? 4 kinds of conflict. Man versus man. Yes. Man versus nature. Man versus himself. Feel free to take pictures. Yep, there you go. There used to be a 5th one. It was man versus mother-in-law. They took that away. No, just kidding. I'm just insulted 3/4 of the room. So sorry. Another thing, when you're presenting, if you got a lot of words, just stop talking, let them take a picture. I learned this from students. I'd be teaching class, I throw a really good slide up there, all these notes I put on there, throw it up there, and I'm talking. About 2 minutes later, a kid who's been writing all my notes down from the slide, Mr. G, what are we talking about? No clue what we're talking about, because they were busy writing. We think we can multitask. We can. Let people get a picture of it. Just stop. Let the silence be a little deafening. It's okay. As teachers, we're trained. Wait 5 seconds. Feels so long. The power of pause, my friends. The power of pause. So powerful. So these are the 4 kinds of conflict. Understand what your conflict is in the story. If you don't know what the conflict is, how's the audience supposed to know? But the conflict is the best part. When you watch a movie, there are heroes, and then there are bad guys, right? There's the good guys and there are bad guys. Superhero, villain. If they don't get a good villain, then that conflict is awful. It's boring. You go to sleep. The more interesting you make your conflict, the more interesting you make your story. You might even have more than one conflict. A lot of times, it might even start here and there. Maybe at first, the conflict was you versus the mountain. You trying to climb the mountain, and it was you versus the mountain. But at the end, you realize, I could have climbed the mountain a long time ago. What I couldn't do was motivate myself to climb the mountain. Yes? So you can have more than one conflict. And that one of man versus himself, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Now add the pivot point. You have no idea how bad I am at technology. You know how long it took me to get this thing to look a certain way? That was awful. It was awful. Talk about man versus himself. You have to go from me to we. Remember this? Me telling story. We listening to story. Me telling story. We involved in the story. Me thinking my audience is paying attention to me. No. We. You have to transition in your mind, me to we. How does your audience get involved in your story? How do you see it from their point of view and understand what the audience needs to know? What does your audience need to know to keep up with you, or you will lose them? So here's Furzy, 30 years teaching. I take kids on a field trip. Yes? I don't know if you have kids, have any of your children come home and say, oh, we're gonna go visit the museum today, right? Sign the document, yeah, we're gonna go, yeah. Could you imagine if the teacher said, I don't know where your kid is. I left with 10 and I came back with 9. That's okay, right? I'm sure they'll show up somewhere. The police are looking, no, you leave with 10, you come back with 10. You don't want that phone call. When you're leading a group of kids on a field trip and you're going through a busy area and you keep going, okay, kids, we're going, we're gonna make this left and that. The kids keep going that way. You just lost your kid. That's why when you have those tour guides, they got the umbrella. But the other thing you have to do as a teacher, you gotta keep checking. Okay, kids, we're going. Okay, we're gonna make this left. Hey, left. Come this way. Me to we. You have to make sure that you're telling your audience, come this way. If I tell you about people in my story, I need to tell you what to think about. Are we happy about this point in my life? Am I unhappy about this point in my life? Am I challenged? Am I feeling the conflict about this point in my life? Am I looking at it? Do I say, there I was when all of a sudden my dad said, you're going to be a failure? Just even that. In your storytelling, giving a moment with a facial expression, letting the audience think, oh, wow, that hurt. That hurt. Yeah. Maybe somebody else like, yeah, that happened to me too. Maybe not my father, but somebody said that or I felt that. Yes. So you're giving an audience a chance to catch up with you. From me to we. This is the basic plot. Yes. This is the basic plot. This is what we talked about a second ago. Yes. Status quo, inciting incident, climax resolution, blah, 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 blah. The problem in Toastmasters, and I know for those of you that aren't in Toastmasters, this isn't going to quite make sense, but those of us in Toastmasters, this is the bad habit some people have gotten into, including all of Toastmasters. It's a 7-minute speech. And somebody goes, here's my story. I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that and I did this. And then, oh, it's so terrible. Oh, it's so good. And then I joined Toastmasters and everything is so great. Now I'm a leader, yada, yada, yada. And in the last 15 seconds of the speech, they go, how about you? Has that ever happened to you? Contest chair. Right? That's their speech. They spend 6.5 minutes of their 7 minutes talking about themselves. Me. Has that ever happened to you? Toastmaster of the day. They're up there talking about how all this stuff happened to their hair. And the three of us are going, we really don't care. Right? Tell us about, I don't know, baked potatoes or something, then maybe we care. Tell us about sunburn, maybe we care. But you have to make sure that you bring your audience into it sooner than the very best. We tend to bring the audience into it right about here. And it's too late because there are these things. And sometimes they're in our pockets and sometimes they're on the table. They're called phones. And your job as a speaker is to entertain people enough that they don't pick up their phone. You know how hard that is? Whoa. You have an average of about 30 seconds to entertain people before they go, I wonder what's going on in the universe. So what you need to do is this. Picture. At every point, at every juncture, you have a pivot point. You want to make sure your audience is with you at those pivot points. You want to make sure that your audience is with you at those pivot points, not just here at the end, but all the way throughout. So that you're saying, oh my gosh, in status quo, this thing happened. Do things happen to you? And it doesn't have to be a question like that. It can be phrased in many different ways. The better you ask the question, the more sophisticated you ask the question, the more effective you are as a speaker. When you first start out, of course, you're going to say, has this ever happened to you? As you get better, you'll realize there's better ways. Like going, huh. I didn't know how I felt about that, but I went ahead and did it. There it is. You've just allowed the audience to take a breath with you and go, huh, why did his father tell him he was a failure? Just in case you're not exactly sure how pivot points work. Emojis. Picture. Yeah. I was going through life. I really wasn't sure. I thought I knew what I was doing. Then this thing happened and I got really nervous about doing it. And I'm not sure about doing this. I don't think I want to go to college. I don't think I want to do this. Then, oh my gosh, it was so hard. Dr. Naga, why did you make me do this? This is so challenging. But I did it anyway. And at the end, I was like, yay, I'm having so much fun doing this. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, professors. Thank you, Dr. Naga. And here's my lesson learned. Yeah, basic plot device just with emojis. I would have picked emojis with hair, but why bother? Okay, yeah. So here's the thing to ask yourself. Remember we talked about this earlier? Character and conflict. We talked about character and conflict. In the pivot point, ask yourself, what did the character discover? Oh, picture. All those questions of who are you, what do you want, what's getting in the way, ask yourself, how are you now different? How are you different from before the pivot point to after the pivot point? Before the pivot point, I was happy. I was going through my life, kind of aimless. And then Dr. Naga says, hey, you should do this. I don't know. That sounds like a lot. Percy, you should be an officer in the club. I don't know. That sounds a lot like leadership. I'm allergic to that. Yes? So we're not sure. Our life changes. I'm not sure. You should go out on this date with this person I met. I don't know. What will my husband think? No, that's not right. But the idea is we have these two things, character and conflict. How are they affected? How are they affected by the pivot point? We have to let the audience know. We have to let the audience know that something significant happened. Not just at the end, because they're not going to hang around 6 minutes waiting for you to tell your little story. They don't. Nobody cares. Sorry, nobody cares. Not to make them care. In Toastmasters, we get spoiled because everyone is so positive and supportive. In the real world, whatever, they just don't care. Your job as a storyteller is to make them care, not take advantage of the fact that they're stuck there listening. Yes, your job is to make them care, and this is how you do it. Where are my pivot points? On conflict, picture. Sorry, am I in your way? How about now? Okay. How does the audience learn from the conflict? How does the conflict change? Where we talked about it was man versus man. Now it became man versus fish. Man, now it's man versus himself, yes. We realize certain things about our own conflict. What happens to the conflict at the pivot point? How does the conflict change? How does it get resolved because of the pivot point? That's usually going to happen towards the end. Yes, you have to show the audience, so good. Yes, I've overcome the conflict. It's so good. You have to go through these emojis. You have to go through the steps in the emojis. Plot, character, conflict, pivot point. Okay, your turn, Dr. Knock. Oh, is it still me? Plot, character, pivot point. Now we're going to go back and talk about a few things. Because I found that sometimes all those words, they just don't make sense. Young lady in the back with the red blouse. I knew I should have gone. I knew I should have gone. I should have made a dash for the door. Come on up, please. Oh, I hate this guy. Oh, Dr. Knock, I'll find you. Come on. What was your name again? Sorry, what was it? Paola, come on. Oh, no, you still got to come up. Just because you tell me your name doesn't excuse you. Now, Paola, you're going to stand over here. Paola, you're allowed to choose somebody else to also be a victim with you. Who would you like to choose? Who? Oh, is that the one who's hiding back there? Oh my gosh, she almost disappeared. Did you see that? She was like, come on down. So you're going to start right here. If you don't mind. Just hang on to that. So this is the beginning of my story. Yes, this is the beginning. This is the story line. Get line. It's a line. Plot line. Yeah, no? Okay, I know that wasn't very funny. I'll try again in about 10 minutes. Maybe it'll be better. Good, if you'll wait there for me. So we start here. This is the beginning of my story. I start my story. I'm telling all these great details, and I'm telling you where I'm going to go. In my story, I'm weaving a yarn. I don't know if you understand that. What is that, euphemism? What is that called? Yeah? Yeah, and I'm telling my story, You're going to stand back a little bit further. Watch out for the ramp. And then, that's my story. This is where I start, and that's where I end. It's pretty flat, isn't it? It doesn't look anything like the pictures that I showed you, does it? It doesn't look anything like what Percy just put up there. Da-da-da-da. So we'll make it just a little bit interesting. Do I have a volunteer before we have a victim? Yes, come on up. Come on up, sir. What you're going to do is you're going to stand. Let's have you stand here. Okay, and you can face the audience because that's more scary. Good. And if you see the conflict, you're going to raise your hand. Yeah. Oh, now we got a conflict line. So now let's look at it. Oh, let me do this. Let me do this so everybody understands. Okay. Yeah. Now we got a little limbo line. We have a little conflict. We have a little challenge. How do I do this? That's a basic plot line, isn't it? That's what I put on the PowerPoint, and that's a basic plot line. Pivot point. Pivot point. I think I can get Prince William to flip off our new friend here. No, almost. No, he's going to flip off you. Okay, so pivot point. You go from one side and you go to the other. You go from one side, you go to the other. You go from your side, you go to the audience. What you want to do is show how your story takes a turn. So I was going to go here to, what was your name? Sugandita. Excellent. You can let go of that. I was going to go to Sugandita, but the problem is I hit this conflict. And because of this conflict, now I'm going this direction. My life was going to be boring, but now it's gonna go this way and be really interesting, especially when the string ends up in the flame.
Yeah.
I saw you,
about
I
it.
saw you. No, that's why I had him stand on this side. So we'll make sure that whoever does this is over here.
There's
You-
need to be a
you look
higher level to
responsible.
first.
Is he responsible? You notice how he laughed. I said, is he responsible? He's like, are you kidding me? Is it okay? Okay. Oh, boy, make the guy with the glass, the woman with the flame. Over the rope. No, you gotta walk under it, man. Thank you. Well done. Oh, what's up? 2 mics. Excellent. So this is the pivot point. Oh, this is the pivot point. Now you can stretch that out. Yeah, this is the pivot point, and that's what you have to do. You have to show the pivot in your speech. All too often in the speech, we spend a whole lot of time here. It was on January 13th. Who cares? I was born on the, who cares? My family life, who cares? This part is nowhere near as interesting, is nowhere, I mean, she's like, what do you mean? People care about me. You want to switch just so you feel more important? You sure? Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Are you okay? Do you need a flame buddy? Okay. Somebody's going to care about that. I can tell you that. This part that we tend to focus on is nowhere near as interesting. You're at a job interview. What's the first question they're going to ask you at a job interview?
Name.
Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, tell me about yourself. Yeah, they're not really going to ask your name. I'm sorry, man. It's on your CV. Tell us about yourself. Well, I was in a, who cares? Don't tell them stuff that's already written in your CV, like your name, right? No, yeah, who cares? This is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. What do I want and how it turned right here. Right here is the good stuff. How my life pivoted. That's where you want to focus your energy. That's where you want to focus your details. That's where you have the, oh, moment. Light bulb. That's what your future employer wants to know about you. How do you make decisions to go from here, and instead of going there, you went there? Because when they hire you, it's to be in a place where you're going to get paid to make decisions. Some are smaller decisions, some are bigger decisions. What are the decisions? You want to marry somebody, you want to know what kind of decision making they're going to make. Not everyone can be as good looking as Dr. Naga. So that's just out the door. It's going to be, how come nobody thought that was funny? Okay, so I'm not even sure what that means, Dr. Naga. So the idea is that it's about the decision making and understanding what those details are. How do you tell the story from here to here? From here to here. You can't see it, can you? My head is too much glare. It's like, it's so bright. It's like 20 suns. Okay, so you want to take it from about here to there. You can mention something here. You can mention something here, but that's not where you want to focus. You want to go from here to here. So what I want you to think about now is a story. What's your story? Tell me about something that happened in your life. Maybe it was something to show resilience because of failure. Maybe it was something where you showed loyalty. A time where you showed loyalty. Maybe it was a time when you showed creative thinking or analytical thinking. Maybe it was a time that you showed responsibility. Sometime in your life when the pivot happened. Don't give us a time in your life where nothing happened.
Show us a time in your life when something happened and you had to make a decision that demonstrates, that manifests who you are. You made a choice, and this demonstrates how loyal I am. You made a choice, and this shows how much I care about my work, how responsible I am. You made a choice, and it shows how you manifested leadership qualities because of a choice that you made. It could have gone that way, but instead it came this way. It could have been status quo, but instead I go this way. Is it time for the break? No? Oh my gosh.
You want a break? We'll go.
No, but it's about to be a perfect time. Yeah.
Audience want a break or you want to continue?
You don't have to have a break. I'm okay to keep going. They're saying no. They're like, no way, we already waited for you. Okay, keep going, keep going, pivot. Okay, we'll keep going. That's all right. So this is what you want to have. How you tell that story is critical, and how long you have is critical. In a typical job interview, you might have about 2.5 to 3 minutes per answer-ish. It's really almost the only thing that table topics are good for. To tell you the absolute truth, Toastmasters, table topics are great for job interviews. At no other time in your life does someone want to sit and listen to you for 2.5 minutes. You try that with your boss, right? Your boss is going to be like, I got to go. Because they can, right? Your boss can do that. Your boss can go, oh my gosh, look at the time. I'll see you later. The boss can do that. Most people, they'll interrupt you. If I go back to my family dinner with my parents, my brothers and sisters, I'm lucky if I get about 30 seconds to talk before somebody interrupts me. That's about it. That's real. Yes? That's reality. So this whole thing about fellow Toastmasters, oh my gosh, just stop. Stop. No. For one, follow this logic. If everything in Toastmasters is to help us with life outside of Toastmasters, right? Because that's why they joined Toastmasters, right? They didn't join Toastmasters to do DCP points. Sorry, I know that for a fact, right? You didn't say, I want to join Toastmasters. I'm just dying to do my DCP points. Nobody does that. There's something going on out there that made you say, hello, is this the Toastmaster meeting? Yeah, it is. Sure, come on in. Why are you here tonight? Well, I wanted to, right? I wanted something. I wanted something from in here to help me with something out there. I wanted something in here to help me with something out there. So how do we apply what happened here to something out there? How do you apply this to that? Because that's why you pay your dues. You don't pay your dues just to fellow Toastmaster. Oh my gosh, just yeah, keep it real. Because nowhere in the outside world will anybody respond to fellow Toastmasters because they're not Toastmasters. So don't get used to saying something that isn't true for the vast majority of your life. You're not going to sit at the dinner table going, fellow Toastmaster. They're going to laugh at you and then throw some biryani at you, right? Did I say that right? Something, right? Your little grandchild is going to go. So don't be going fellow Toastmasters unless you're amongst a whole group of people making toast. Or a whole bunch of alcoholics. No. So that's the idea. Understand that your time could be limited. So today I want your story to be 60 seconds. But wait, there's more. After you do it for 60 seconds, I'm going to show you how to take it down to 30 seconds. Because that's really a little bit more realistic in terms of what your boss or your customer will put up with. And then after that, I'm going to show you how to take it down to 15 seconds. Why? Because after 15 seconds, you risk the elevator door closing. Yeah. There you are in an elevator. No, we know it was you. I'm just messing with you. Or is it you? I don't know. Somebody over there smiling. 15 seconds. How do you take this incredible moment in your life? How do you take this incredible moment in your life and express it in 15 seconds that tells somebody, hire me? That tells someone, buy from me? That tells someone, trust me? That tells someone, here's my business card. You meet someone in the elevator, you may not have time to close the deal, but they'll give you their business card because of what you were able to say in 15 seconds, because you sound magnificent. And you are. But realize that no one else is going to tell you that. You have to tell it yourself. And you tell it not by going, I'm magnificent. Because who's going to believe you unless you have proof? What is storytelling? Proof. Storytelling is not theoretical. Storytelling is being able to identify this pivot point and saying, in 15 seconds, this is why you need me, because I'll make that decision again in the future, and it's going to benefit you. I'll make this decision again in the future. I've made it in the past. I've made this decision in the past, and I will make this decision again in the future, and it's going to benefit you. This demonstrates how I value relationships in my life, and it's going to benefit you. Yes? So that's how this works. Who's got a story? Excellent. We're going to come to this gentleman, then I'll come to you, sir. Come on up. Oh, yeah, you gotta. Oh, I'm sorry. It was that guy. It was that guy. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Go to that guy. What's your name?
Aniket.
Sorry?
Aniket.
Aniket. Great. Come on up. I've disrupted an entire row, Aniket. This better be a darn good story. Okay. No. I refuse to give him that much power just yet. If you're the speaker, you hang on to the mic. Once you give somebody else the mic, you're sunk. They'll start talking forever, right? Family gathering. Here you go, uncle. No, uncle's had a little too much to drink and he's not going to come back with the mic. He's going to go, well, you know, when I was a child, for the 20th time, right? Well, it's what was I talking about? Yeah, you don't want that guy. Not that you're that guy. Okay, you have 1 minute. 60 seconds. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. No?
All right. As an aspiring storyteller, I was looking for a stage to tell some stories during the COVID-19 period. And at that time, a friend of mine referred me to a company called Tech Mahindra because they were going to have the Father's Day and they wanted to come and tell stories. So I prepared for an entire week and I showed up in the virtual meeting already with inspirational stories because I thought there's going to be a lot of fathers in the room. But guess what? When I entered the room, there were no fathers. They were all children. Children waiting for me, more than 120 children eagerly waiting for the story. And now I'm thinking, what do we do here? Because inspirational stories are not for children. So I told them the story that they are going to love. I told them the story of Hanuman flying to Lanka. And I was in this room carrying my laptop, jumping from a sofa onto the chair and onto the ground.
Time. Very good. Give him a round of applause. Status quo. Yeah. Conflict. Yeah. Okay. Where do they fit in?
Right.
Where?
I get.
No, go ahead. You got to earn it back. Where do they fit in? Where does it go from me to we? What did you say that brought them into the story?
So I didn't say it, but what I would have
You
said.
didn't say it.
Yes.
Why not?
Maybe I should have been more careful about the time.
You spent too much time over near her. You
Yes.
got to spend more time near him.
Yes.
And you got to always come towards him.
Yes.
He's a nice guy. It's okay. You can head that way. Yeah? Okay, one more crack at it. What else is missing from his story? Anybody know? The conclusion, yeah. So what happened? All the kids. No, what did they do? Did they storm the Bastille and go, we want somebody else? What do you want, right? Okay, good. What else? Any other conclusions you'd like to have? Yes. Oh, what's the key message? Yeah. What's the key message? Okay, yeah. Does this make sense? Yeah. 60 seconds, baby. Okay, here we go. Ready? No, you're not getting the mic yet.
As an aspiring storyteller, I was invited to a show where I was going to tell stories about the Father's Day. But when I reached there,
Why should we care?
yes.
Right. Right off the bat, we need to know. Yeah? When we do a speech, we have an introduction. And part of that introduction is the hook. The first thing you actually have to do in a table topic is connect with your audience. First, connect with your audience. Everybody don't worry, I'll come back. I'm just giving you time to think. The first thing you have to do is connect with your audience. Don't answer the question. Your audience may not be listening. Your audience may not be listening. They may be looking at their phones. If it's my dad, he could be thinking about something else. So first you have to connect, and then you address the prompt. Then you address the prompt. And then you find a way to relate to the answer. Make it personal. Maybe you tell a personal story. I don't know about your stories, man, but okay, no. Tell a personal story. And then you engage everyone. C-A-R-E. What's that spell?
C-A-R-E.
See, I like acronyms to make sense. There's another one for table topic. There's an acronym called A-R-E-M. I'm like, who's going to remember that? Arum? They're going to spend their entire life trying to make a different word out of that. Yeah? Care. C-A-R-E. Connect, address the prompt, relate to it, engage everyone. You got to write that down. Yeah, okay, go ahead. C-A-R-E. Connect, address the prompt, relate to it personally, engage everyone. Now, sometimes the A and the R, they go together, right? If your answer is a personal story, you got 2 for 1. Sometimes the R goes first. That's okay also. But C-A-R-E, the first thing you've got to do is connect with your audience. It doesn't even have to be verbal. It doesn't even have to be a spoken word. You can connect with your audience by going, oh, that's a hard one. Yeah? Gives you a moment to think. Here's my favorite. You go into a job interview, because everything here has to apply, right? Why in the world, if Spurs even talking, if he's not going to help you get a job? Yes? So somebody asks you a question and you're like, I have no idea what to answer. Oh, wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. What are they going to do? Stop you from drinking water? Right? No job interview in the world is going to stop you from getting a drink of water. I'm just noticing the back of this sofa, the top of it, somebody owns a cat. I'm just telling you, I know exactly where all that comes from. Okay, C-A-R, and then at the end, engage everyone. So let's say you're at work, and these people are around the water fountain. They're at the cooler, yes? They're getting some water. And somebody goes, Furzy, how about you? What'd you think of the game? What'd you think of the movie? Oh, don't get me started. But listen, if I had to watch that movie again, am I right? He asked me the question, I'm going to end with her. I'm going to engage everyone, right? And she's over there going, what happened to status quo? Yeah? So one person asks you the question, but engage everyone. You're in the elevator, somebody says something, engage everyone. Your boss asks you a question at the table, engage everyone. Why? You might need their support. Because your boss may go, I don't know, man, I don't think that's a good idea. You're going to need the help of the person at the end of the table to go, well, I think it could work. Engage everyone. Team building activity. Yeah? Pull them in. Get them to nod their head. Engagement. Get them to nod their head. Even if it's 15 seconds. And then you say, okay, I got to get back to work. Right? Okay, you ready? Go for it.
How many of you love listening to stories?
Ooh, better. There you go. There you go. Excellent. Okay, try it again.
How many of you love listening to the stories? Very nice. All of us love stories. When I joined a Zoom meeting in the COVID-19, I was expecting 120 parents.
Does it really matter that it was COVID? Now that we know the story, does it really matter?
Right.
No, it doesn't. Right? Does that make sense? No one really wants to hear about COVID. I know we're always drawn to it. I have a client and I coach her all the time, and she always wants to tell the same COVID story. I'm like, nobody really wants to know about COVID anymore. You have to find another time in your life when you were the hero. Sorry, COVID wasn't the only time that you were a hero. Yeah? You've got to find another time. Okay, good job. Here we go.
How many of you love listening to stories? When I joined an online meeting, ready to share a lot of stories, guess what I found?
What happens if they don't want to hear a story? How many of you do this? Oh, only 5 of you? Okay. Let me think of something else to talk about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, what else can you ask them? What is something that could maybe get more than half of them?
I was going to say, how many of you are parents?
That's not bad. That's not bad. You know, some of them are.
Could I interrupt? I'll let go.
Are you tired of holding?
No.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, go ahead. Go ahead. And sorry, man, we went from her to her. We completely forgot about you. He's like, could I interrupt? Can I get a chair? Okay, what's up?
Who all here has been rejected from a job interview? Or a
There
different
you go.
position?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I was actually going to go with, who's ever failed? You ever failed in front of children? That's the worst. She's like, yeah, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes
Yeah, because we've all had failure. I don't know about Dr. Naga. He's been pretty saintly, but the rest of us, we've had some kind of failure, right?
Yes,
I mean, the kind of failure that hurts your face. Yeah?
yes.
Okay, good. Go for it.
How many of you have failed? Now nobody's answering. Nobody's listening to the question.
No, they all want to answer. They're just like, I'm not going to put my hand up. I'm going to make them suffer. Go ahead. You're all right.
Talking about failures, it brings me to a meeting that I joined already with a lot of stories to be told on the occasion.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Keep going. Get to it. That detail doesn't matter.
And I was ready with the stories, but then there was a huge surprise waiting for me. Instead of 120 parents, I saw 120 eagerly awaiting children. How many of you?
Are they really eager?
Yeah, they were. Wait.
The only time kids are eager. Yes. She said when you're giving them candy. Kids are never eager, man.
Okay.
Plus the fact it won't make the story more interesting. You want to know what will make the story more interesting? When the kids are not eager, right? They're like going, go ahead, man, entertain me. Do your best. Go ahead. Go for it, adult. Right? That's,
Yes.
okay?
The conflict
Okay,
is-
yeah, baby. Yeah, okay, go for it. Use that.
So I'm here and there are 120 kids giving me a straight face, just looking and holding their breath. And now I had to switch to a story that has always worked for me. And that's really where I want to share.
No. If the story always works for you, then we lose empathy for you.
Okay. So,
Right?
Yeah.
We got to know that you were like, okay, plan B.
Plan
Okay,
B.
yeah,
Correct.
okay, all right.
Yes. Now, looking at this situation, I had to switch to a plan B. Plan B was a story that the kids were going to love. And we went on with the story.
No, you don't know. You don't know that, right? Once you tell us the kids are gonna love it, oh, well, then I know what the end of the story is. I don't care anymore, right? We don't need to know who done it, right? In a mystery, a murder mystery, we don't need to know who done it. We don't need to know if Romeo and Juliet are gonna get together or not until when? Yeah, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so don't give the ending away yet. man.
Yes.
Okay, go.
So I switched to a plan B, a completely different story. And I started with the story. They are all listening is slowly I could see the children leaning in, eyebrows going up, some of their mouths opening up. And I knew,
The lesson of the thing is,
and now the lesson here is that you should always have a plan B.
there you go, right? Always have a plan B. Don't give up in the middle of the conflict because then you end up going out the door like a loser, right? You got to stay, fight, win, whatever. Plan B.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Is plan B the best answer? Or is there another lesson to be learned?
Critical thinking.
Oh, what else?
Think on your feet.
Wow! Much better than plan B. Much better than plan B. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
You got to think on your feet. Here we go. This is the moment, pivot point. Wait, there's more. You're going to start up there.
I need to go
Yeah, you remember how, yeah, I know it's real high altitude. People get a little head. Yeah, okay. No, that's the pivot point. You got to start before the pivot point.
Okay.
Right. Status quo, walking through it. Okay, you got 30 seconds because he's tired. Okay, 30 seconds is all you get. All right. Okay, hang on. Let's get the official clock out. But I'll start at 29 or something like that. Face ID. It doesn't have Face ID. Why is it not working? Okay, there we go. Ready, sir?
Ready.
30. Okay, go.
How many of you have failed? Let me tell you about this one time when I went into a meeting room ready with a lot of stories. Then, instead of a lot of parents, I saw a lot of children giving me a straight face. And now I'm thinking, what do I do here? And that's when I thought of something on the spot. And then, as I'm telling the story, I could see that kids are connecting with me. And I was able to salvage the situation, which is why my friends, we all must always have a plan B. You should be able to think on the
Stop. That's it. I gave you 39 seconds, but you kept talking. You got to be able to cut it off.
Yes.
You got to be able, just because no one put up the red light doesn't mean you get to keep talking. Cut it off, right?
Sure.
Self-control. The other point where you don't want to go to is, and so, my friends, what are you going to do at a job interview? And so, my friends, no.
Yeah.
And so, but the reason why we say things like fellow Toastmasters and my friends, the reason why we say that is because we're trying to get traction. We think we've lost our audience, so we're trying to regroup. Yeah, subliminally, we're trying to regroup. If you've got a good story, you don't need to regroup. You already have them. And you're certainly not going to lose them within 30 seconds unless it's like really bad. Pretty good story. You've got us. Start again.
Okay.
Normally, I jump to 15 seconds. I think I will go to 15 seconds. All right, you've got 15 seconds. Do you know what you're going to cut out?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Just give me 1 second. Think about it.
So, what you doing after this? Okay, so here we go.
All right, ready.
Go for it, sir.
Let me tell you about failure because this is something we all experience. In one meeting, as I joined, expecting a lot of parents, I actually met a lot of children. And I had to think of something on my feet. And as I did it, I could actually see them connecting. You should always be ready and be ready to think on your feet.
Boom! 19 seconds. That makes sense?
Yes.
Look at that. Look at that. In 19 seconds, you got the jump. The only other critique I'm going to give you is when you have a microphone and you're holding it here, the microphone has to be here.
Yes.
If I do this, check, check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, what just happened? The microphone is still close to my mouth, and yet his volume went down because this is an omnidirection. This is a straightforward microphone. It only takes the voice from straight away. Yeah, so you can't even do this, and it's certainly not going to pick you up doing this. That's why rappers, they do this. Put your hands up, right? They put it right there so they know that their hand won't move away from their mouth. Not only that, they don't want you to see that they're lip syncing. It's true. It's true. Yeah. One more time. Here's how it relates to job interviews. I'm going to ask you a question. Answer the question with that answer.
Sure.
No, let me clarify. You don't even need to change your answer. Use the same answer. You might need to change one sentence. Maybe the beginning, maybe the end. That's it. Okay? Here's your question. So tell us about yourself. Right? So tell us about yourself. You have 15 seconds. Oh, I'll give you 20. 20 seconds. So tell us about yourself.
I am somebody who's very good at cybersecurity, and
Nobody cares.
And I'm good at thinking on my feet.
Good. Go for that. Go back. They already know you're good at cybersecurity. They read your CV. That's how you got in the room. Am I right? Right? They already know. If you weren't good at it, you never would have made it in the room. They read your CV. They pulled it out of a stack of about 300 people. Yeah? So you already made the top 10. Okay, buddy. Here we go.
I'm good at thinking on the spot. This one time, when I joined a meeting ready with a lot of stories, I actually saw 120 children instead of parents. And now I had to think of a solution on the spot. And I told them a story, and I actually saw that they were all connected with me really well. And I think this connects with the job really well, because there are lots of situations where I would need to think on the spot, and that's where you can count on me.
Who? What situation? Who do you need to talk to on the spot? Who?
I would need to talk to the customers.
Good, right? Because you did your research. When you applied for the job, you did your research. What is the job about? You looked at the JD. You looked at, do they have that in India? The job description, right? You looked at the job description and it said, must talk to customers. You went, oh, I got a story for you. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
Because you got to talk fast. Why? Because you never know what a customer is going to ask you. Now, you don't tell the boss that you work that a little bit, but you already know what the boss is thinking. So you give him an answer using evidence from your life to say, you're going to be great. Remember, you're going to be able to tell a story and show that other person how their life is going to be better because of you. He tells his story and demonstrates how your life is going to be better because of him. Yeah? Nice job. Well done. Give him a round of applause. Would you go ahead and hold the string? Where am I on time? I know I'm way over time. Am I over time? Do we have time? He's got a story, right?
But we can stop for a break because we have tea and biscuits for everyone out there. So only if you permit, we can take a break.
Take a break. Then we're coming back to you, sir. You better come back. You better come back because it's his story next. All right. We're going to break for a commercial break.
10 minutes.
Where's the on-off button? There it is. Great job, man. Great job. Yeah, yeah.
You remember we have met online many of these sessions. I'm sure you're what you're doing.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I
Tell the
understand.
time. I request everyone to get back by 5.
How was your stay in India?
It's just out-
Terrific.
yeah, it's just outside. You just have
That
your
was brilliant, the way you
team
explained pivot point. I never have explained that better.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know, we got another story, right? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Hello.
Yes, Paige.
We at the state fair? Why am I
I'm
guessing
just
my age?
curious. How old do you think I am?
33?
I'm 16.
Okay. I was gonna guess younger and I thought, why is he asking me? Okay,
Just
I
curious.
would have got 16.
Yeah,
Yeah, why?
just curious because
Guess my age.
47.
No,
I'm not older.
older. I'm retired.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
You look-
retired.
You look younger than expected.
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm 58. And what's more, I have the same exact birthday as Dr. Naga.
Oh, wow.
October 31st, 1966, the exact same day.
Wow.
Yeah, great mind. Checking. Checking. Okay, we're going to go with our next story, and we're going to see how many stories we can get through today. Okay, you're up. Come on up here. We'll start up here. And it's CM, right?
Yes.
Fantastic.
The end of the story.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. There you go. That's about as tight as this part will want to get. All right, CM. 60 seconds. Okay, go for it.
Thank you for calling AOL. My name is CM. Are you calling to sign up for your free trial of AOL today? No. Transfer me to billing. Boop, 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 transfer. Are you calling to sign up for your free trial of AOL today? Yes, I'm excited. Let's get started. My name is CM. May I have your name, please? I collect all the details. And then there is a last step in the sales process. May I have your credit card number? Hey, you said it's a free trial. Why do you need that? Oh, well, this is for after the free trial, not before that. Ding. Call disconnected. 104 calls that day, 0 sales.
That's actually where your story should start. Ready?
What about the context then?
You're going to go back and cover it. But until then, we don't care. Sorry. It's the truth. We just don't care. Okay, try again.
Calling to sign up for your
No,
free trial?
no.
Okay.
104 calls and not a single buyer. Yeah, does that make sense? Okay.
104 calls, not a single buyer. I was dejected. My teammates were mocking me.
Move it along. We don't care about your teammates.
Okay.
Does this make sense? Yeah, right? We spend so much time here because we think this is important. We're trying to get there. And we're trying to get there. What's in it for me? You have to go from me to we, and you got to get there pretty darn quickly. Okay? All right.
104 calls, 0 sales, not a single buyer. I was dejected that night. As I head back home with a heavy heart, I couldn't sleep a wink. And that's when I fired up my laptop and...
Too many details. Move it along. Nobody needs to know you fired up the laptop, right? Okay, come on.
So I find a folder that says reminder.
Nobody cares what the folder is. Get to it, man.
Okay. I start reading my customer testimonials and feedback from the past. And one person says, hey, this is not something I want to hear, but you gave me the right info. Thank you. I'm 70 years old.
So what's really important here?
That
What's your point?
I'm changing my mindset from being dejected and not being confident about myself. And then I...
Nope. No. You're far greater than that. You're far greater than that. You're far better than that. That's not going to get you hired.
Mm-hmm. That's my life incidents. That's what happened, and I'm trying to...
No, you've already said the point. You just don't realize that you said it. One of the most important things we have to do is understand what our story really is. Does anyone have a guess about what it is that was really great about his story? Say it again. People trusted him. Yeah, that's important. I think that's good. What else?
Yeah, but the end of the story is when I recovered.
Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's paying attention.
Okay.
You think we're gonna wait all that while and firing up the computer and yeah, that's to make it that's on the belief that we're entertaining. What if we're not? Grandpa, why are you telling me this?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Grandpa, right? Yeah.
I care about my customers and look at it from an analytical perspective to solve their problems. And I can do that for your company over and over again.
Okay, I'll buy that. No, the phrase that you said that got me, you went back and looked at the feedback. You took feedback. Who keeps feedback?
Somebody who wants to improve.
You kept feedback. You kept feedback. You went back when you were at your lowest depth. You didn't blame anybody. You went back, looked at your feedback, understood that it was on you, and you grew from it. That's greatness. Because when most people fail, they just blame everybody else. Yes? Oh, that didn't work. This is a stupid company. This is a stupid product. We need a better script. Everything. They blame everything. And what does he do?
Takes responsibility.
He took responsibility. And it starts even before that. He kept the feedback. On negative calls, right? How many calls did he make? 140?
Then 4.
104. Okay, 104. And he didn't make a single sale, and yet he kept the feedback. That's a glutton for punishment. Or somebody who works to improve. Yeah? Okay. 30 seconds. Wait, no. Here's the prompt. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
You got a boy, girl?
A boy. Yeah.
You got a boy? How old is he?
12.
Here's the thing. Dad, I want to quit. Yeah? Dad, I want to quit. Right? I want to quit. Dad, I want to quit. Dad, I want to quit. That's your prompt. You have 30 seconds. What are you going to say to your son in 30 seconds? Use the same story.
Son, 104 calls is what I took on a day to serve my customers, and I had 0 sales that day. I was so dejected. My heart was heavy. I got back home. I didn't know what to do. And that's when I pulled up one of my folders that had testimonials and feedback from my past customers, and they made an impact on my mind. There was a lady who said, hey.
No. 30 seconds have come and gone. You got to know when to end it, right? Because you want to get to your conclusion, because the elevator door is going to close and your son has about this much attention span. Does that make sense? Yeah, you can't take the fact that I didn't stop you as like, oh, permission to keep talking, sir. No, you can't go on to the next story, because your boss is going to walk out the door and it's going to feel awful. It's going to feel absolutely awful. So know how to control it and end it. Yeah, you got a great story, man. You have got a great story, but you got to know how to shape it. Otherwise, it becomes a 4-hour epic. Okay, try it again.
Son, this one day I had 104 sales calls with no buyers. I was so dejected.
Good. So CARE. What's the C? Connect. How did you connect with your son? By calling him son?
Yep.
No, we're not there yet. We're still at connect. Yeah. What'd you say?
I failed too.
I failed too. Does that make sense? He wants to know, Grandpa, what's in it for me? Okay, give it a try.
You know what, son? I failed too. On this one day, I took 104 calls without a single buyer. I was dejected. As I got back home, I started.
Good. Better, better, better. Now, you don't want to sound like you're getting on a train and not stopping. For some reason, when we get that, when we hear that he's on it, we stop listening. I don't know why, but especially as kids, we're like, oh my gosh, dad is on another thing. You ever had a parent who was in Toastmasters and wishing that you had a red card right there? Does this make sense? So don't get on the train. Keep it real. Keep it real. Son, you failed one time. I failed 100 times. And I know it feels painful. But let's do it together. We'll look at how we improve, because I know I had to do that. And it's hard, but it's beautiful. Come on, let's do it together. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Because what's the end goal? Telling your story or what?
Making the point.
Nope. It's not even that. What's the end goal? Dad, I want to quit.
To have the buy-in.
Dad, I want to quit.
That makes it hard to quit. That makes it hard.
Right. The end goal is your son going, okay, Dad.
Not going to quit.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, Dad. Because he might say, okay, Dad, before you ever get going. And if he does, I would stop talking. Because once he says, okay, Dad, he doesn't want to listen no more. Does this make sense? Okay. Because that's when your wife's going to go over going, will you leave the boy alone? Yeah. So you have to know what you want. And what you want is not to finish the story. I know that's really hard as Toastmasters, but we have to understand that. Like when you go to a job interview, what you want is the job. What you want is the job. Okay, one more time. It's a great story. I love this story.
Thank you. Son, I know how it feels to fail. You failed this once. I failed 104 times in just one night without a buyer. And guess what happened? I pulled myself up. I took responsibility and I said, I'm going to make it better. So the next day, I went with a different
No, go to your son. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Your son has an attention span of shiny object. Come on, man. He's 12 years old, right? He has an attention span of, look at that butterfly. Come on, 30 seconds. You got to get there. Yeah, you've got to get there. Let's work on it together. Whatever it takes, but you're going to let your son know he's not alone. He's not alone. He's not alone. Because you're that kind of dad. Right? You're not one of those dads. You're that dad. Okay, come on, man.
Okay, son. I know failure makes us feel bad, and I know how you feel right now. But remember this, that one day I failed not once, but 104 times. And guess what I did? I didn't give up. The next day, I told that this is going to be a better day. I pulled myself up, and I know you can too.
Good. There you go. Give him a round of applause. Nice job. Nice job. I gave you the mic pretty early. Yeah, it was a good story. It was a good story. I knew it just needed to be tweaked. And remember, this is the part you want to focus on. Oi! Balance. I swear we were only drinking water up in that office. This is the part you want to focus on. Yes? Right in here. All of that, I don't know. If you have more time, okay. But you might not. And this part here, well, that's great. But this is more for like when you have a keynote and you want to make it stick. Otherwise, make the jump. Because the most important person in that whole story, and that's a good story. It's a good story, CM. But the most important person in that whole story is, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
It's not about us. What's the job of a Toastmaster? The job of a Toastmaster is not to talk. The job of a Toastmaster is to introduce the person who's going to talk. I'm not your Toastmaster today. He's your Toastmaster today. We forget that. We think Toastmaster, oh, it's my turn to talk. No, no, no. Job of a Toastmaster is to introduce people and to shine the light on that person. And so we have to go from me to we. It's not about me. My story is not about me. Yeah, it's my story, but I sacrifice my story so that we can have a good time together. I sacrifice myself. And sometimes it takes a lot of vulnerability. And that very last time you talked, oh, that last time you talked, man, I could feel it. Yeah, that vulnerability, that's the price we pay. The vulnerability that we show on that stage is the price we pay so that others can move forward. The vulnerability that we show is the price that we pay to move forward. Take a look at this. That's what beat us. That's what's hurting us. We overcame that, right? This is the representation of something evil that was hurting us, something negative that was killing us, and we went past it to get to that. But we have to be able to show that vulnerability, which you did at the very end. And that's very different from how we began. I don't know if we're videotaping this, but if you watch how you first started, you know, I was doing this and I was doing that, but the last time you did it, son, right? And you nailed it at the end. Who's the most important person? You said, my son. Yes, sir. Yeah? Good. I would like one of the medical students to volunteer next. Oh, wait, before we do that, while you're summoning your courage, let's give him another round of applause. Nice job, both of you, gentlemen. Medical student? All right, let's give him some courage. Somebody block the back door. Is it Arun? Fantastic. Arun, do you have a 60-second story? You have a story?
Sir.
Do you have a story to tell us? What is your chosen profession, Arun? You're doing a master's in management. Managing what specifically? I know the answer. Managing what?
Application intelligence and data science in healthcare.
Why did you choose that field?
So I wanted to be in a management position.
Why that field?
Because as a doctor, only as a doctor, I can't change many things. So I want to be in a management position.
Are you already a doctor?
Yeah.
Why did you choose to be a doctor?
Because I like treating patients.
You like what?
I like interacting with patients and treating them.
As a doctor, I help one patient. Working in management of doctors with AI, I help thousands of patients. I got into this business because I wanted to work with patients, but I discovered that if I work with doctors and help them help patients, then I can help thousands of patients. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now you've got a story. When did you make that decision to go for this degree?
2 years ago.
What was going on 2 years ago?
Right when I'm working in some hospitals, some hospital managers refused to take a patient which was about to die. I am willing to take the patient. The hospital manager refused to take it.
Oh my gosh. So everything I said is on this side. What you just said is going to be here. I'm a doctor and I felt helpless. Right? I was a doctor and I felt helpless. I was there, but they wouldn't take the patient. That's when you realize it's about the system. And I couldn't change the system being a doctor. And that's why I became a yada, 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 yada. And that's why I want to work for your hospital. Because I know I can yada, 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 yada. Does that make sense? Yeah. You'll start it right about here. Okay. So tell us, why did you choose to go for this degree?
As a doctor, I couldn't make much changes in the healthcare system. So I realized that only a management person can change the entire system. So I have chosen this.
That's excellent. That was my first answer to you. And then there was a second answer, right? Tell us about the actual situation that day, the inability to make something happen. Would you try that from there, please? And then go into what you just said? Thank you, Arun.
When I am working in a corporate hospital as a doctor, when I am about to take a patient and treat them, the hospital manager refused to take the patient because the patient was very poor and refer the patient to a government hospital. But I don't like that, so that I have chosen the management position.
Excellent. Very good. Give him a round of applause. But you're not coming. No, you stay there. You stay. We'll applaud, but you got to stay there, man. More suffering, which everybody in this row is like, yes, torture him some more, not me. Good. You can stand a little bit in the light. There you go. Now that you're in the light, it feels like you're talking to your mother-in-law, right? Okay. So, Arun, I want you to imagine that you're that 5 years from now, 6 years from now, you come back to this very school, yeah? You come back to this very room, and the dean asks you, these are all students who are deciding whether or not to come here or not. These are all students who are just in their first month. Arun, I want you to inspire these kids to stay the course. I want you to inspire these kids to stay in this line of thinking, this school, this degree. Go ahead. It's the same answer, man. Just in case you weren't sure, it's the same exact answer.
I have chosen to become a doctor as I like to treat the patient. But when I became a doctor, I realized that I cannot make a big change during working in some corporate hospitals. So at that point, I decided to pursue a management degree and I want to be in a management position.
You have to tell us the story of that day. What you just said is the second half, okay? What you just said is the second half. I want you to tell me about what happened that day, because that's the first half. Does that make sense? Okay, you got a great story, man. You got a great story. Here we go.
My patient who became a doctor, I have pursued MBBS and made it. But when practicing as a medical doctor, I felt helpless when I can't treat a patient. At that point, I decided to take the management role. So
what happened that day, Arun? What happened in that hospital that day that made you feel so helpless? It's the same exact answer you gave. You don't have to change your answer. Use the same answer. What happened that day?
When I am about to treat a patient, the hospital manager refused me to take the patient to the hospital and they referred the patient to some other government hospital. And I was helpless to the patient.
Good. Tell them. Talk to them. And so, therefore, you did what?
And that hospital manager is not a MBBS guy. But even though I am a doctor, I can't make some big decisions. So to make a big decisions, I should be in a management role. At that point of time, I have shifted my career.
Good. And what's in it for them? You're telling us this story because what? Remember who the audience is?
To make big decisions, we have to be in a management position.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, what's my fear going to be? As a student in this program, and I'm already a doctor, what's gonna be my fear when I make this leap?
We are in the role where we be a decision maker.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden you're going from a doctor to a leader, yes? And that's not normal. I mean, that's not why you got into this field. That's not why you became a doctor, to talk to other doctors. You became a doctor because what, Arun?
Because of my patient.
Yes, sir. So tell us it's okay. Tell us we're doing the right thing here. Tell us you did the right thing, and tell us that we are all doing the right thing. All right? Okay, start again. Start again. You got this, man. You got. Yeah, I know it feels weird to say stuff that you already said. It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
I have become a doctor based out on my interest in patient, but after becoming a doctor, I felt helpless to treat a patients. At that point of time, I have changed my career to shifted my career to become a leader in healthcare field. So I have shifted my career to be in a management position.
Excellent. Good. Give him a round of applause. You're doing okay, Arun. You got to do it one more time, though, okay? I promise. This will be the last time. You know I break my promises, right? No, just one more time. What I want you to do is now we're going to put a hook in there, okay? This is what's going to connect us to the audience. Try starting with, oh, I had something for you. Try starting with, I was a doctor and I had a patient and I was helpless. And I don't want any of you to feel that same way. Start with that. That's the first sentence out of your mouth. Yeah, yeah. What I just said, that's what you do, because that starts right with the scene, right? Okay, good. Give it a try. You're going to do great, Arun.
As a doctor, I felt helpless when working in a hospital to treat the patient. The hospital manager refused me to take up the patient. At that point of time, I felt I have to be in a management role to make decisions. So I have shifted my career from a doctor to a leader. So I can make big decisions in a management role.
Good job. Give him a round of applause. I lied. You're going to do it one more time. Have a seat over here. Okay, have a seat. One last time. So now you're talking to somebody, okay? You're talking to another doctor. Arun, Dr. Arun, I need to quit. I'm tired of medicine. They don't allow me to treat patients. That's your cue. Use the same answer. Use the same answer. Get me to stay. Get me to stay in medicine.
As a doctor, I can understand your feeling much better because we have gone through the same journey. But changing from a doctor role to a management role, it makes a lot of sense, and you have the power to make decisions.
There you go, baby. Nice job. Nice job. Thank you, Arun. All right, you get the, is your pulse, you know how to take a pulse, right? You're still okay? All right. So you've seen from all three stories, there are several different ways we can approach it, yes? There are several different ways that we can approach it, but they all start with, how do you engage your audience? That's the first thing. How do you engage your audience? Get to your personal story, but your personal story is only a part of your answer. Your personal story is not the whole answer. Your personal story is your evidence. Your personal story is anecdotal. It's not statistics. It's anecdotal. And then you've got to wrap it up and make sure that your audience can make sense of what your story is. Because sometimes your story, again, is your fingerprint, but your audience is not looking at your fingerprint. So you've got to be able to take your story and go from me to we. It's always about the we. It's always about the person looking at you. They came because they need answers. When somebody comes to you with a question, it's because they need answers. And your story is part of how you answer. It's not the whole answer. Yeah. I think we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. Yes? Questions? Yes, sir.
How to discover good stories from your life that we can document and share.
How to discover good stories from your life. You have stories all through your life. You do. You just don't realize it. Look back at your life and see where there were pivot points, where you made decisions. Look back at your life and see where you made decisions. See where other people made decisions. All of those become fodder. They become evidence. They become things that you can use to make your stories. Yeah. Sometimes the story seems like it goes nowhere. And that's when you have to go back. Remember when I was talking to Arun, I said, tell me about how you made that decision. What happened? What happened on that day? And it happened in that moment. I don't know how close that patient was to you, but it's almost like in that moment, right? Somebody walked in the door and said, no. And it broke your heart. You went through all this and it broke your heart in that one moment. And that's exactly what you want to do. Yeah. So sometimes it happens that fast. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
My question is, when do we introduce the pivot point? For instance, assume the length of the keynote or the speech is 5 minutes. Those 3 points, right? We have to spend a certain percentage there, next percentage here, and the pivot point. What's your recommendation if I have to give a 5-minute speech?
I think it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. Even in a 5-minute speech, you might introduce the pivot point right at the very beginning, and that's part of your introduction. Yeah, like Arun's again. I felt helpless as a doctor. Let me tell you what was going on. I was a doctor. I was doing this. I was doing that. I was doing this. I was doing that. And I had the patient in front of me and then da-da-da, right? But you could start with that as an attention getter. You could start with the patient was sitting right there in front of me and I could have saved them. But they said no. You ever want to throw away your entire career? Yeah, does that make sense? And then go on to tell, since you have 5 minutes, tell that story. Absolutely. It's a good question. Yes, sir. Microphone. It's on. You know, because she used.
I'm just taking the time.
No. Oh.
Say I am talking to an interviewer. I have 2 pivot points to mention to you. Say the first one is the success, and the second, the concluding pivot point is not as successful. So how do I make my vulnerable part or the failure and still pitch to and impress the person to whom I am talking?
If it's a job interview, I would suggest focusing on one. Leave them with a clear image. Leave them with a clear image. Unless you can get one out really quick and you know for sure that it's important that you do too. Again, it's not about you. It's about them making a decision, saying thumbs up. Yeah, so if you can nail it with one, it's not about fellow Toastmaster. No, can you get the one story? So take a moment, make that decision. Here's the one. Now you can say, well, that's a really good question, and that's happened a lot of times. But here was this one time, and then you launch into it. Maybe you only have 2, but you could say there were many, but here's the one that I'm going to talk about. So it doesn't sound like you only got one. Yeah, so if you wanted to do that, get it to a fine crystal point, laser, like a laser, your answers. Good question.
I have a question.
So in your experience, have you ever seen that somebody might have the perfect plot, they might have the perfect incident, climax, resolution, but they got a tough audience? The audience is not responding at all. In such cases, one, if it whether it happens ever, and second, if that happens, sometimes the speaker might get slightly, like off the track or demotivated. How do you deal with that?
I think most people would tell you just keep going. If they don't get it, they don't get it. I go home, I tell my family about my stories. They don't get it. They're like, whatever, Furzy, you won a contest. Okay, big deal. Like, no, man, I was on stage. Yeah, whatever, big deal. Can you make dinner? Can you do the dishes? Because that would be great. I think if it's me, I read my audience. Well, first of all, you have to prepare. You have to prepare who's your audience in advance. You have to prepare and know who your audience is in advance and gear it towards them. So it's in your favor, right? You stack the deck in your favor. But if it's me and it doesn't work, then I try to explain it. Maybe there's something wrong with my explanation. Maybe I'm missing something. So I go back and explain it and hit the details and then make sure that they understand what my realization is. Make sure they understand what my realization is and then try to land it again. Yes, you're welcome.
Hi, first this is Priya here. Thank you for that brilliant session on storytelling. I have two questions. So the first one is, at Toastmasters, there's a lot of importance to voice modulation and body language, etc. So how important is theatrics in real life situation when you're narrating a story or talking to people?
I think it's very important because if they're not listening to you, then they're not even going to get to the content. In today's world, we have such short. Sorry, did you see that shiny object? Okay. In today's world, we have very short. Can you remind me? I gotta pick up some spices for dinner. What was I saying? We have incredibly short attention spans. Incredibly short. You ever seen TikTok videos? Oh, good grief. They're just. So if you're not interesting enough to get our attention, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly. So I think it's got to have strong presentation. And then you can get to the content. If all you have is presentation and no content, then it's empty. And they're going to tune you out no matter what. But at least you bought yourself a couple of seconds. Whereas if you, okay, so my answer is, you already lost them. Yeah, you already lost them. They're never going to get to your content. So that's why I think.
Thank you. And my second question is, how important is humor when we are doing a storytelling or for a longer session? And how can we bring in humor naturally?
I would fall off the stage. People generally laugh at that pretty good. Humor is important, and here's why. There is an entertainment factor. Okay, there's an entertainment factor. We tend to think of something as more entertaining when it's something I can laugh at. But more importantly, it's a bonding, it's a sharing. When you laugh at a joke, it's because you understand my point of view on it. Yeah, we share the moment. Otherwise, it's kind of like me talking to all of you, but I go, hey, remember that time when we were kids and that thing happened? That was great, wasn't it? You're like, hello, the rest of us. Yeah. So I was sharing with him, but not all of you. So you have to share with everybody. You have to share it with everybody. And in that moment, I think he's about to pull me off. I'm going to give you one last example for a job interview situation, if I can. I go into a job interview to be an assistant principal. And normally answers are easy. You go in, you answer the principal, no problem. In this particular case, it's a panel interview, and he didn't tell me it was going to be a panel. So there were 7 people behind a long table. There's the principal, there's an assistant principal, co-worker who has a vote, a couple of teachers who have votes, a parent who has a vote, and a student who has a vote. And they asked me the hardest question that I've ever encountered. especially in a panel. And they said, who's the most important person on campus? Now, if there's only one person in the room I got to answer, it's easy. It's easy. Oh, the most important person is the student. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, the most important person is my co-teacher. Blah, 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 blah. Because if I say it's the student, the teacher's going to go, wait a minute. Does that mean you're not going to back me up? And if I say the most important person is the teacher, the parent's going to go, wait a minute, my child. So I'm dead in the water. And then I got lucky. The most important person on campus is whoever I'm talking to in that moment. Yeah, because if they don't think that they have my full undivided attention, if they don't think that I care about them, then all is lost. Then nothing else matters to that individual. And the old quote goes, the old quote from Teddy Roosevelt, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you've got to make it stick. You've got to let that person know that you care. And then in the next minute, you got to let that person know that you care. And then when you go outside in the hallway and some kid comes up, you got to let them know that you care. And that's the most important person on campus. They asked me about 5 more questions after that. It didn't matter. I got the job. Right? 1 question, 1 answer. I saw the look on their face. They were like, oh yeah, that's the guy. I mean, like they just put their pencils down. Like, I don't need to take notes. That's the answer. That's the guy I want to hire right there. Satisfied everybody. So keep thinking about your audience. Because that was my trouble. It's like, I need to think about my audience. And if there's 7 people, who am I going to make happy? How do you make everyone happy? And I'm just blessed that in 3 seconds or less, the answer came to me. Yeah, but it's true. It's true. You have to give undivided attention. I'm going to put 1 more slide up here. If you like learning about stories, if you like telling stories, this is the group that Dr. Naga was talking about. You can join us online. It's free. That's my WhatsApp, and that's the WhatsApp for the group. Be happy for you to join us, and then you can practice your speaking. All right? Thank you. Dr. Naga?
Sure. Please, all of you join for a group photograph. I think many want to go, otherwise other people can, interact with you for some more time, but we can all join for a group picture.
So please.
So I thank Dr. Isha and IIHMR, give a big round of applause for them for making this possible. And also thank DDM for taking time and being with us fully. Every second of his presence, you are fully with us. Really appreciate that. I'm very happy that somebody came without any experience and he came and able to tell a story. That was a nice thing. Good. I hope all of you learned something. All of you useful. The session was useful for all of you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Naga. Yeah, Dr. Naga. How do you want us?
Two of us can sit there. Okay. You can change that picture, that old, the first picture, no?
Okay.
Where is that?
I'll take 1 more second just to say how Dr. Naga sir is with us from long time. It is an experience from our director. So whenever I met her in hosting some conference or getting speakers to talk, we said, have you spoken to Dr. Naga on this? I said, why? Then she said, she had an international event and she has called in 1 speaker for that event. And it was morning 9 AM, the speaker has to speak and is not available at 11 PM in the night. And she just rang up Dr. Naga and he was able to get one of the best international speaker on that day, and it went so well. She remembers every time whenever we host a conference, and it was a great achievement that we had that day. Thank you.
I think few of us can stand here, few of us can sit here, I think. All standing is okay.
Thank you. A lot of clarity in my thoughts. Oh, good. Good.
This off. Fine. That's not required.
You look like a magician in this picture. Yeah, I made my hair disappear.
Backdrop switch off.
Please come towards the center. We can stand right and left. Just switch off, take the switch off.
Remove.
Sir, please.
Sir, it's okay, sir.